Hi everyone, I'm Anika, and I want to start with something you've all done today, probably without even noticing. This is a talk about how social media contributes to desensitization and why media literacy isn't optional. Now, picture this. You're scrolling through TikTok or Instagram, you see a devastating scene, maybe a war zone, maybe something horrific happening somewhere in the world. You feel a pang of sadness. 2 videos later, you're watching a cat video. 5 minutes after that, you see another tragedy, and you keep scrolling. And you guys maybe relate, has this ever happened to you, where you just see something horrible and you just keep scrolling? That reaction, that's not a personal failure. It's not because you don't care, it's because of something happening to your brain that I want to walk you through today. So, what's actually happening there? It's called desensitization, the process by which repeated exposure to a stimulus reduces your emotional response to it. This isn't new. We've seen it documented for decades in medical professionals, in first responders, people who see hard things repeatedly and over time respond to them differently. What's new is the scale. Social media adds infinite scroll, constant breaking, updates, and no pause button. It accelerates this process like nothing before it. Your brain wasn't built to process the entire world's tragedies in 30-minute increments. So here's what I actually want to do with the next 10 or so more minutes. One, I want to challenge the phrase, it's not that deep. Everything online is connected to something offline. I hate when people say it's not that deep because a phrase that I think is super duper important is art is political. What you see, there's a reason why you're seeing it, right? So question everything, be curious. And two, I want to show you that this isn't an accident. Again, attention is designed. It's a business model. And three, I want to make the case that media literacy isn't a nice to have skill. It's survival. Let's talk about why this happens. There's a loop. Shock, scroll, numb, and repeat. And it's not random, it's designed. Social media platforms rank content by engagement, not by truth. Content that produces a strong emotional reaction, whether that be anger, fear, shock, gets shown to more people. So the algorithm keeps promoting more and more intense content because that's what keeps you watching. Okay, some quick definitions because I'll use these terms again and it's just important to know. Number one, the dopamine loop. This is a reward cycle your brain runs through every time you get a notification or a new piece of content. The attention economy is the idea that companies are competing for the one truly limited resource you have, your attention. Now, that sounds kind of weird, like your attention, but to them, that's worth real money, right? Now, let's look at a real example. For years now, social media feeds have been flooded with constant graphic coverage of the Israel-Palestine conflict. And I want to be clear here about what I'm pointing at. I'm not here to relitigate the conflict itself. I'm pointing at what constant exposure does to how we process it. The first video you see is horrifying. The 50th video is background noise. That's not because you stop caring about the people involved. It's because repetition reduces emotional impact. Researchers call this the crisis fatigue. And here's the uncomfortable part. When everything is urgent, nothing is urgent. People get overwhelmed and they tune out, which is exactly what powerful interests off the hook. And now here's a second example. And it actually shows up twice in two different scandals, but honestly, the exact same way. So, for example, let's take the Diddy case. When his ex-partner's abuse allegations went public, the video evidence, the lawsuits, everything that came out of it, it was everywhere. I mean, looking back, I remember like my entire feed just being like all the celebrities involved at these Diddy parties and what they were doing and all of that. I mean, it was wall to wall coverage. And a lot of that reaction turned into memes almost immediately. Jokes about details from the case, like the baby oil found in the raid, faster than any actual accountability caught up. Now, a little sidebar. Okay, this is a kind of random, but it's still very on par with what I'm trying to say. So I play Roblox. Yeah, I play Roblox, okay. But like on Roblox, I remember just like looking for a game to play, and one of them was something like Escape from the Diddy Obby or something, which is, first of all, so ridiculous because he is a real person and an abuser who has countless victims. And the fact that that game was made, like I can understand, okay, maybe they didn't understand like there's levels to it, but it's also like that's what, society does. When something's shoved in our faces, it turns into kind of a meme with just how we want to make a joke out of it, right? And so we see Diddy as like this villain, this bad guy, and you have escaped the Diddy obby. But then again, it desensitizes you. Now you take away from what he actually did and what he committed and what the victims went through because there's a joke made out of it, right? Or now look at the Epstein files. Shocking revelations about powerful people. I mean, we're talking like presidents and people from the royal family, billionaires. And there is so much about corruption, about cover-ups, and then so much media saturation followed by sudden silence. Both of these cases, they follow the exact pattern. It's outrage, then theories, then memes, and then it's just forgotten. And I call this the scandal cycle. And it works because it neutralizes accountability. Nobody has to actually answer for anything if the story moves on fast enough. Now, again, let's backtrack. Back to the Epstein files, right? I mean, we were hearing about the most powerful people in our country, if not the whole globe. And what happened? I mean, we got all the files released, about 3 million, I believe. Yes, there was redactions, but like the things we were seeing, there should have been protests, and there was, but why haven't we seen so much of it? I mean, everything just got put under wraps. So now I want to ask, when's the last time you saw a major headline about either of these? And why do you think that is? I mean, for me personally, Diddy took up my entire For You page. I mean, I was seeing stuff about like Jay-Z, Beyonce, Usher, Justin Bieber. Like, these are artists I grew up with, and now you're telling me they're involved in such a notorious, like, crime, I guess. Like, it's just like all of it was shoved in my face, and now I can't even tell you what happened last. That's what I mean. It's just put under wraps and there's memes made out of it. So we just kind of stop caring. Okay. Now, I want to actually pause here. Not talk about pausing, but actually doing it. So let's breathe together for a few seconds. In for 4, hold, and out for 4. Notice what felt like a minute ago. Your mind was probably sliding toward whatever's next, the next slide, your phone, what you're doing after this. That pull you just felt, that's the same pull that makes scrolling past something devastating feel automatic. Stopping on purpose feels different. That's the whole exercise. Okay, so now why do these big problems just get away with it? It's because public attention is finite and social media fragments it on purpose. New stories constantly replace old ones, and that's not an accident either. PR firms, political operatives, governments, they all understand this. They know exactly how to wait out a scandal. They need the news cycle to move on before anyone has to actually be accountable, right? If you can control what people pay attention to, you can control what they care about, essentially. And this connects directly to how algorithms work. What gets promoted? Outrageous, emotional, divisive content, things that you can react to really fast. And what gets quietly demoted? Nuanced and complex content, slow building stories. That stuff, that's boring, but it actually matters. And this is where shadow banning comes in. Algorithmic demotion of certain content often justified under community guidelines, but it's worth asking who writes those guidelines? Whose interests do they actually serve? And let's zoom out even further. Now, when you think of propaganda, personally, I think of like the war posters I was shown in my history class. But it is essentially the deliberate spread of information to influence public opinion. And it's evolved a lot in the social media era. Bot networks, automated accounts that amplify a narrative until it looks like real and organic, like people actually believing it. Astroturfing, fake grassroots movements manufactured to look like genuine public opinion, and deepfakes, and now with the rise of AI generated content, which means like what even is real is now a moving target. So who benefits when you can't tell what's real anymore? And let's actually test this. So I've got here like two example headlines. Headline A says, Mayor storms out of town hall after explosive clash with protesters. And headline B says, City Council quietly revises zoning rules after 2-year review. Which one do you think is more, attention grabbing? Headline A or headline B? I'll give you guys a moment. Okay. Yeah. So exactly, that's exactly the point, right? The one that wins isn't necessarily the one that's most accurate or the most important. It's the one built to make you feel something fast. Like what gets a reaction out of you? A or B? B sounds boring. I don't want to read that. I want to read about A. That's exactly how things are manufactured for your attention span. So, what do we actually do with all of this? Media literacy isn't about being smart, it's a practice. 5 habits you can start building today. One, pause before sharing. And what I mean by that is, again, think back on the breathing exercise we did. When you purposely stop and just give yourself a moment to maybe digest the content you're seeing, then your desensitization, it decreases. You understand like what you're seeing, what's being shared to you, and you can question, be curious, right? And two, follow the money and the power. Who owns the platform? Who funds the research? Who benefits from believing this? Don't just blindly look at what's being fed to you and be like, okay, yeah, sure. I mean, sometimes brands will literally put forth this agenda, but you have to understand it's a brand that helps them. Is this useful to you? Is it right or is it accurate? Like, you have to really question, because again, honestly, we live in a very capitalistic society, so it's always about the money, right? So think about that. And three, check your emotional reaction. If something is designed to make you angry, scared, or outraged, that's often the point. It's designed to manipulate you. And so if you see some content that's disturbing to you, I mean, I would say report it. I love reporting stuff. Like, if I don't like what I'm seeing and if it's affecting me personally, I don't want to see it. So get rid of it, honestly. And four, seek out opposing viewpoints, not to agree with them, to understand the full picture. And what comes to mind is news outlets. We have this whole discussion on like CNN versus Fox News, whatever, but both networks, they feed into whoever their audience is, right? So you need to look at the opposing argument. And you never know, maybe your opinion might change. And that's not even the point. The point is just get to know the full picture. Always question what you're seeing. And that brings me to five, question everything, including this talk. Don't take my word for any of this. I mean, I could be lying to you. Who knows? I'm just kidding. I'm not doing that. But go verify it for yourself, right? Go do your own research. I mean, what's so great about our day and age is that everything is within our fingertips, right? I'm just a Google away from figuring out an answer. But that's my choice. If I want to sit back and just look at what's being fed to me, then I'm just gonna have the limited viewpoints I have. But if I go out of my way to educate myself and learn more things, then there you have it. I'm getting the whole picture of what's being shown to me. And this is so random, but when I think of people just sitting back and like just doing whatever, is like, do you guys remember that movie Wall-E where like the humans like they evolved to be like super lazy and just like eat and like watch whatever? Like we can't become like that. You need to always question and go out of your way to seek opposing viewpoints and just make your own, opinion. It's great to have your own standpoint on something. So go out and do that. And now here's what I actually want you to remember. and walk away with. Social media is not natural. It's designed to capture attention, like I spoke on before, and it's not really to educate you at times. Desensitization is real and it serves the powerful. When we tune out accountability, it disappears with us, and censorship and propaganda are everywhere, often disguised as something entirely different. And media literacy is not optional, it's how we fight back. And that's honestly my main 3 points. So, again, be curious, question what you see, don't accept things at face value, be skeptical, not cynical. Demand evidence, be engaged, and don't scroll past things that matter. Pay attention and be honest with yourself. We all scroll past things sometimes. We all get numb sometimes. I do too. I'm not above any of this. The goal isn't to be overwhelmed by everything, it's to care intentionally, not because the algorithm tells you to, but because you choose to. And one final line. Social media wants you numb. Power wants you distracted. The media wants you confused. But you are not powerless. You can choose to be informed. You can choose to care. You can choose to question. That's what media literacy is. And that's what changes everything. And this is my sources slide. And thank you so much, guys. That's pretty much it.